Hey there, my friend. It's Chad Reyes with you, and we're having a conversation on the leadership table. Today what I'm going to be sharing with you is your best year yet. Designing a game plan for growth in 2025. As I think about that, I think about what is required for us to build the greatest year yet. And I just want to share a couple of points from my heart with you as we're having this conversation. When I'm thinking about as I'm coming up to this new year and I'm planning for our companies and our organizations and my leadership, I'm thinking about this methodology, and I talk about it called awareness. My wife and I say that awareness transforms lives. Increased awareness will transform lives. So I want to give you this methodology. I want to give you this methodology that we use with ourselves, our teams, companies we coach. It's thoughts impact beliefs. Beliefs impact behaviors, and behaviors create results. And I just, for the next few minutes, I want to share with you on that, and I want to encourage you and challenge you. The thing that I know is that our thought life is so key. It is so key because our thoughts create chemically in us beliefs, and beliefs create behaviors. I'll just share this with you that some years back, probably almost 15 years ago, I had a coach. And that coach said to me, he said, Chad, you don't like selling. Now, selling and not liking it is a belief system, right? He said, you don't like selling. He said, but you do like helping people. He said, for the next 12 months, I want you to replace the word selling with helping. I said, but I like selling. He goes, no, you like helping. Just believe me on this. So for the next 12 months, he would ask me, Chad, how many families did you help? How many businesses did you help? That year, my friend, in 12 months, I saw a 500% increase. Now, I share that with you because it was a belief system that I needed to get through. And the reason why I'm talking to you about this today is that as you're going into 2025, as you're preparing yourself, as you're mentally getting prepared, I need you to think about what are the thoughts that no longer serve you? What are the beliefs that are stopping you from being who God designed you to be? You see, the behaviors that we have, those behaviors will only allow us to receive the growth of the belief system that we have. So your behaviors will only go to the level that your belief system will allow it. And as you're going into 2025 and as you're planning to plan your year, whether that's in your personal life, whether that's with your family, whether that's in your business or the organization that you work at, it's going to require new thoughts. When I say thoughts, you're probably like, well, how do you change thoughts? And I could tell you how I did it for me because it was not easy. Our thought life and our belief system can be only grounded in one of two perspectives. There's a scarcity perspective and there's an abundance perspective. My life, up until I was 23, 24 years old, was rooted in scarcity. It was rooted in lack. It was rooted in fear, in doubt, and worry. And I had to change that. And you know how I did that? I started reading books. These books kept challenging me to think differently. Those are the thoughts. Today, I listen to audiobooks. Those are the thoughts. Today, I listen to podcasts like you're listening to today that changes thoughts. You see, what happens is that as our thought lives change, the music we listen to changes. All of a sudden, beliefs start changing. Now, I want to talk to you about thoughts because most people don't realize that they have somewhere between 12 to 60,000 decisions they make in a day. I'm going to pause there for a moment. 12,000 to 60,000 decisions we will make in a day. Now that's staggering because most of them are subconscious decisions. Now think about that. If they're decisions that are subconscious and we don't even know that we're making them, then what is driving them? Our thoughts and our beliefs. Don't miss what I just said. If on average we're making 12,000 to 60,000 decisions, an average human will make those many decisions in a day. And if we're not aware that we're making those decisions, then what is actually making those decisions? Our thought life and our belief system. That's the reason why, as we go into 2025 and we want to make this our best year yet, we gotta be very careful of what our thoughts and our beliefs are, because those will drive our behaviors. And when our behaviors are based in abundance, they're based in positive thinking, then the results get better in our life. And I don't know where you are. And my question now would be, as we're leading up into this new year, I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. But what are the things that we need to say no more? I'm no longer going to allow those thoughts. I'm no longer going to allow those belief systems to stop me from becoming who God designed me to be. My friend, that is so key as you lead into this upcoming year, to get your thoughts and your beliefs around the results that you want to see in your life. Now, why do I say that? I say that because if you want to have a good year, as I said in the beginning, your best year yet, if you want to have your best year yet, then how do you do that? And I just want to share this with you. You know how you have a good year? You have good quarters. You have quarter one, you make it a good quarter. Quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. But better yet, if we keep refining that down, a good quarter is 3 good months. A good month is 4 or 5 good weeks. A good week is 7 good days. A good day is 24 good hours. A good hour is 60 good minutes. You see, at the end of the day, if we're going to make this our best year yet, and we're going to have a growth plan for our future, we need to start being intentional with managing our time, stewarding our time. You know, I remember hearing this, and my heart goes to people that are homeless. It does, and I'm going to share why. Because I was very close to being homeless when I was in my late 20s. Quite honestly, my wife and I, we lost everything. The only reason why we were not homeless is because we had family. If I didn't have family, we would have been homeless. I could see how certain people who don't necessarily have a drug addict, a drug addiction, or they don't have an alcoholic problem, which I didn't have, but I made a bad decision, put myself in a bad spot, and was almost homeless if it wasn't for family that was able to be there in that season, that tough season. So I know what it feels like to be homeless. But I do want to share with you this. What is the difference between someone who's very successful and someone who's not? Who's someone who's on the streets and they're not utilizing their time well? The difference is how they use their time. We all have been given 24 hours. No one has more than 24 hours in a day, and no one has less. It doesn't matter how much money you have, and it doesn't matter how little money you have. We all have 24 hours. We all have 7 days a week. The question becomes is, how many years do you have ahead of you? How many decades do you have ahead of you? But we only have 24 hours in a day. So the question is, how could you maximize that time? How could you use your time so that you get a great return on that time? And I just want to share with you some of the areas as you're going into 2025 that I really think you should be focusing on. And these are things that I speak with CEOs about. These are things I speak with very successful entrepreneurs about. And I challenge them. I challenge their thinking. Not because many of them have more wealth than I do. Many of them have even more success. But the thing that I do is I challenge them to think better. Because I know that thoughts and beliefs impact behaviors, like I mentioned earlier, and behaviors create results. So if I can get people to think better and have better belief systems, I know the results get better in their life. So I want to give you this Fish's framework that we use, and then I'm going to break it down into game plans, and I'll share with you further. So this Fish's framework is really impactful because this conversation that I have with leaders is there's 5 capitals that we have to be intentional in growing. And as you're thinking of 2025, I want to give you this framework to think around. It's financial capital, intellectual capital, social capital, human capital, and spiritual capital. So I'm gonna break that down further. So financial capital. I don't know about you, but I'm sure there's areas that you want to grow in your finances. How do you build a game plan around that? Intellectual capital. So let me give you examples. Let me come back for a moment. When I'm looking at building a financial game plan, I'm looking at what debt do I want to pay down this next 12 months? How much do I want to allocate into different vehicles and retirement vehicles and savings vehicles? Do I want to acquire some real estate? Do I want to invest in businesses in this upcoming year? So I'm thinking of from financial capital, I'm saying, what do I want to accomplish over the next 12 months? And as you're building a growth plan, as you're building a plan for 2025, focus on the financial capital. What is the things that you want to? You know the difference between good intentions and intentionally good? Good intention says this, I'd like to. And intentionally good says, this is how I'm going to. Date, time, location, accountability partner. You see, when we get into building a game plan, I'm gonna share with you how I do it and how I teach others to do it. But when we're building a game plan, we want to look at financial capital. Then we want to look at intellectual capital. That's the books, the wisdom that we want to learn, because everything I want and you want is in us growing. The person that I'm going to become later on in my life is going to be based on the person I have become in the years leading up to that. And the only way to get better is for me to grow, is for me to learn, is for me to develop, is for me to read books, listen to podcasts like you're doing right now. That's the only way that I'm going to get better. Put myself around mentors that could help grow me in areas that I need, whether that's the financial capital or the intellectual capital. Then social capital. How do we develop relationships? And I'm going to share this. I'm going to share with you my personal ones as we continue this conversation. But how do we develop personal relationships? And then human capital. How do I use the gifts and talents that God has given me to bless the world? And what is the areas that I should spend most of my time in? And become real clear on that. And then spiritual capital. What is the things for me as a person of faith? What are the things that I need to invest in? Like 1 year, I'll give you an example. 1 year, I decided in a conversation with John Maxwell that I spent a whole 12 months in one book, the book of Acts. That was me developing my spiritual capital. So my friend, as you're working through this Fish's framework, how do you become intentional? I want to share something with you now. Hear me out, please. Please know that you don't need to do this perfect, but you do need to get started as you come into January. It's a game plan. If you're going to build a good year, then that means you need to have 12 good months. I think you and I would agree that if you have 12 good months, you're going to have a good year. No difference in sports. I come from a baseball family, right? So think about this for a moment. There's 9 innings. If I win the first inning and I win the second inning and I win the third and I win the fourth and fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, I won every inning. It's impossible for me to lose the game. Now hear me. If I win 8 innings, but I lose 1, but I lose it really big, I can lose the game. That's the reason why when you're building a yearly game plan, you want to build 12 games. So hear me out now. In 2025, I'd encourage you to build 12 games. January is a game, February is a game, March, April, May, June, July, etc. Right? 12 games. And in those games, break down what are your financial goals? How are we going to intentionally grow in the financial side of things? What books am I going to read? What events am I going to go to? Who am I going to ask to mentor and speak into my life in that area? Intellectual. One of the things I do, and I'm just sharing with you what I do, but one of the things I do is I look at the areas that I want to grow in. The areas that I want to grow in and I want to become world class at. And there's three things. When I was younger, when I first came out of college, my reading would be across 15, 20, 25 different genres of books. I would be reading one book on this and another book on that. Today, I read books only in three areas. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on in the world. One of my things to develop my intellectual capital and to be very relevant is every single day, what I'll do is I will look at local news, I will look at regional news, I will look at national news, and I will look at global news. I spend probably only 15 or 20 minutes a day doing that, but that gives me a perspective of what's going on in the world, what's going on in the nation, what's going on in my region, what's going on in my community. That gives me perspective. I don't spend a lot of time on it, right? But I spend time reading books and listening to podcasts in three areas. The three areas are business, how to become a better entrepreneur; leadership, how to become a better and more impactful leader; and then the last one is my faith. So I read books that help me become a better man of God, better man for my wife, a better man for my businesses, a better man for everyone that I come in contact with. So those are the three things that I develop. And what I'll do is I'll pick a book every month in one of those three areas. And every month I'll read a book that helps grow me and grow my intellectual capital. I'd encourage you to do the same. Find out the things that you want to get developed, you want to grow in, and then pick a book or a podcast. I would encourage you to do both because I do books and podcasts, but it's always in those three areas. Social capital. Social capital. In social capital, how we develop intentional relationships. So one of the things my wife and I have done is we've built a role for her and for our organization of a chief global relationship officer. How do we intentionally add value to relationships that are important to us? How do we intentionally add value? And then who are those people, and identifying who they are, and how do we add value to their life? You see, too many people, they just move through life without creating a game plan. Is it going to be perfect? No, I'm not asking you for perfect. I'm not asking to be perfect. But what I am saying is that we have to be intentional. Human capital, the H. In the human capital is, what are the things that I'm going to do to develop my giftedness? Now, giftedness is this. Giftedness is the area where your competency and your passion meet. It's the area where you're passionate about something and you're good at something. Well, one of the areas for me is communicating. I'm passionate about it because I know it makes a difference in people's lives. I've heard that I'm pretty good at it. So that is a giftedness of mine. So what I do is, how do I develop that giftedness in my life? I build a game plan right now, as we're talking about December, I'm building a game plan. How do I make my giftedness more impactful in 2025 in the area of human capital? And then spiritual capital. How do I develop myself? What are the books that I'm going to read? Am I going through the entire book of the Bible? Am I staying in one book for this year? It's really important. For me, it's extremely important. So I build a growth plan around that. And because I have a growth plan rather than a growth wish, there's a higher probability it's going to happen. So I just want to encourage you right now that as you're going into 2025, as you're preparing for this new mindset for 25, where your thoughts and your beliefs and your behaviors are different, so the results are even better than they were last year. I want to encourage you, my friend, that don't try to be perfect. Don't try to have to make it perfect. Just start moving. The thing that I know is when you start moving, God starts bringing resources. God starts bringing people. It's amazing what God can do when you start moving. And I just want to challenge you right now as you're going into 25. Block out time. Look right now. You have a week and a half left to the end of the year. Block out a half a day to think through this FISH's framework: financial, intellectual, social, human, and spiritual, and build a monthly game plan that leads to your best year yet. I want to encourage you. I thank you so much for being with us. Now, may you go make 2025 be the best year ever. Until next week, can't wait to spend more time with you. God bless you. Hey there, my friend Chad Reyes. I am so excited about our radio show coming up, The Leadership Table with Chad Reyes. It's every Sunday at 6:30. Then we're going to go live on Monday at 6:30 so you can ask your own questions. Jump on in. We cannot wait to have you join us. It's going to be a time where I invite some of the greatest leaders I know to join me at a table. And what I've learned about a leadership table is that's where potential is released. Every Sunday, you want to join us. You want to be sitting at that table with us so that you can reach your potential, you can release it in others, and you can accomplish your dreams. My friend, like, share, comment, drop a comment. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. I just can't wait for you to be on with us. I cannot wait. And listen, hey, hit subscribe at our YouTube channel. Visit chadreyes.com/WMCA and you'll get all the details you need. I'll see you on the table.